Bouncing back is top of the list for Gonzaga's Graham Ike and Anton Watson. The St. Mary's lost behind him. Tonight's target, the Portland Pilots. We are in Spokane in the West Coast Conference on a Wednesday matchup, the Portland Pilots and the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Hi everybody, I'm Rich Waltz. Welcome to the house that Dan Dickau and his buddies built here long ago. The All-American is with us, and we take a look at this matchup, Gonzaga against Portland. For Gonzaga, they have to erase the memory of what was a bitter defeat to their rival on this floor, St. Mary's, on Saturday.
Yeah, Gonzaga doesn't lose a lot in conference. They lose even less at home in conference, so that shock to the system needs to get erased in a hurry for Gonzaga.
Let's do a little AT&T fast analysis. Tell me about Gonzaga's point guard, Ryan Nembhard.
Well, Gonzaga wants to play as fast as anybody in the country, and to do that, you need a playmaker who can play fast, make quick decisions, but more importantly, make the correct decision, whether it's a play for a teammate or a play for themselves. Nembhard has been terrific, leading the conference in assists per game as well as assist to turnover ratio. They need him to continue to play extremely well in league.
All right, our analysis of Portland, they can shoot it. Best three-point shooting team in conference play in the West Coast Conference. Tyler Robertson, Vukashin, Mosic, both can shoot the three.
Well, they each have a lot of freedom in Coach Shante Legan's system. The numbers don't share the full story about how much freedom they play with.
Ready to go. Portland's won 2 straight, showing signs of life. But they're in a tough spot tonight. Gonzaga angry, and they may play like it.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Uber Eats. From wings to beer, get anything for game day. And by AT&T. We believe connecting changes everything.
Bulldogs have won the last 4 West Coast Conference championship standings, and that's what hurts for Gonzaga. St. Mary's with the win Saturday is 10-0, 7-2. Big night in Spokane, so big. John Rothstein is here. Hi, John.
Well, Rich, people from the periphery are going to highlight Saturday's game at Kentucky as being the game of the week for Gonzaga, and it is for good reason, but you can't forget about the importance of tonight. When you are a team on the bubble, you don't just need good wins, you have to avoid costly losses. That is the case for the Bulldogs tonight. Nobody knows that better than Mark Few. And some injury news for Portland. Tyler Harris is a late scratch due to an ankle injury, so Portland pushing a boulder up a hill tonight, Rich, here in the kennel. Portland is shorthanded, but we are not. We have Dan Dickau.
That's right. Yeah, the hill is steeper. Harris averages 12 a game. Keep your eye on Juanse Gorosito, number 4. He's really hot from distance. And obviously for Mark Few, he wants his team to rebound, to defend, and they need to shoot the 3 well tonight. That has not happened for them. Shante Legans in his 3rd year. He had a great run nearby at Eastern Washington University. He inherited a program that was at the very, very basement and has breathed life into it. They've won 3 conference games this year, including 2 in a row. And away we go. Dan Dickau, what's tempo going to be?
This is going to be a fast game. Gonzaga has led the country in scoring 4 of the last 5 years. They're not at that clip this year, but Portland wants to play fast as well.
Portland may dare Gonzaga to shoot 3s and see if they can knock them down.
Well, Portland will employ a number of different zone defenses. Gonzaga must make them pay from the perimeter.
There's number 1. They hit just 4 in the loss to St. Mary's, but St. Mary's is a completely different animal than Portland defensively. Pilots are not a good defensive team, but they can shoot it. Mosic, the sophomore, that's the Aussie. Robertson misses on a runner, and Nembhard will try to push tempo on live ball turnovers and misses. Watson, a trail 3. How about that?
Well, you see Portland daring Gonzaga to shoot it beyond the arc to start. Watson is the trail man, catching it at the three-point line. His defender was in the painted area.
Gorosito. Bull danged it. Masic. Gorosito, 16 of his last 30 from distance. That's over a 3-game stretch. That's a corner 3 there. Yuto Yamanuchi Williams with a miss. Greg, a 3. I dare ya. I double dare ya. Gonzaga rips off 3 threes and a 9-0 start. Gonzaga 33% from distance. That's not great, but Dan Dickau, they're 3 of 3 so far.
Open looks, got to step up, shoot them with confidence. The first 3 possessions, Gonzaga has done just that. Nolan Hickman, Anton Watson, and Ben Gregg all getting in on the action early. It's important to note that in Gonzaga's wins, they've shot 38% from 3. In the losses, under 20.
And of course, it's Graham Ike's presence that is packing that defense in and giving the open looks. Let's see out of the timeout what Portland gets. Danged it with a miss. And a rebound to Anton Watson, and here comes Nembhard. Hickman. You can see Ike drawing Robertson defensively. Greg, why not? And the rebound to Yamanuchi Williams. Masic out of Serbia, sophomore the transfer from Hofstra and Maine. That's a foul. That's Ike. Foul trouble for Ike was pivotal in the finish, the final minutes of that St. Mary's loss.
You're exactly right. Foul trouble for both St. Mary's as well as Gonzaga down the stretch. Gonzaga tried to get Ike back in the game, but there was no stoppage in play, allowing a dead ball situation for Ike to get back in. During that time, he was at the scorer's table is when St. Mary's kind of went on the decisive run.
Yeah, 7-0 run, and it was a 2-point win. Portland's on the board, but Gonzaga with an early lead. Nembhard pushing tempo. He's been a much better shooter in West Coast Conference play from distance. Right at 50%, Ike steps through and scores. Portland does not have an answer for him size-wise and skill-wise in the low blocks.
Well, he does such a good job of posting up low and early in transition. If you're going to guard him with a smaller man like Masic and not double team, his footwork and his strength is going to allow him to get shots at point-blank range.
Gorosito is partially blocked. Ike. Robertson almost doubled. Good rotation. Watson, you got 3 bigs out there. Nembhard bangs with a 3.
And that's important for Nembhard to get in on the action as well from beyond the 3-point line. Under 30% from beyond the arc on the season, but during WCC play, he's right around 50% from that 3-point line. A great sign for Gonzaga.
Masic against Ike, got it up. And the rebound, dinged it, missed it. Watson has the loose ball. Bull dinged it. West Coast Conference Freshman of the Week for Portland in their 2 wins over Pepperdine and Pacific.
Yeah, dinged it, an interesting prospect. Spent time in the NBA Academy. They like his potential.
This is going, that hill is getting steeper and steeper that John Rothstein, and the boulder's getting heavier and heavier. What a start by Gonzaga. All 5 starters have scored. It's a 16-1 start. Portland and Gonzaga, great start by Gonzaga. 16-1 start by the Bulldogs, who have been hot from distance.
Hot from distance is right. 4 of 5 beyond the arc, 6 of 7 overall. But Portland's got to provide a little bit more resistance in all facets defensively.
Portland really is dependent on threes. Danged it, that's maybe not a great three. 45% of their points come from threes. That's the most in the nation.
Coming off a game where they beat Pepperdine, 16 made threes. So they can get it going in a hurry, but they got to get going in soon with Gonzaga off to such a dominant lead early.
Packed in there against Ike. And I think Gorosito maybe with the reach. Uber Eats brings us the keys to the game.
For the Pilots, you've got to rebound. Gonzaga second in the conference in rebounding behind St. Mary's, and take care of that basketball. That will allow them to limit Gonzaga in transition. For the Bulldogs, make threes. Well, they've already started that off tonight, and push the pace.
Dusty Stromer into the ball game for the Bulldogs. This is Ike. Got banged pretty good, no whistle. Danged it, has it. And here comes Portland. Tyler Robertson with the ball does everything for this team. He'll stick his nose right in it. And the Aussie misses a runner there. Ike with the rebound. And Portland has been awful from the field to start this game. Ike and a foul.
Well, Ike didn't necessarily run the floor faster than anybody else, but what he did is he didn't stop running. Masic, not a good job of awareness on weak side to take on that cut to the rim. A simple, easy catch, finish, chance at the line for the three-point play.
This could be a huge night here at Gonzaga, Dan, because they have a promotion when the Bulldogs hit 10 or more three-pointers. A local taco place gives tacos to everybody. There's your three-point counter. They've only given those coupons away once all year, and apparently they're piled up in someone's office right now.
Well, this isn't the three-point shooting team that Coach Few has employed on many of occasions. They're built from the inside out. Defensively, I think they're really good. They've got a chance to continue to improve, but the three-point shooting has been inconsistent.
Robertson, who had 24 in the win over Pepperdine with a bucket there, and it's 19-3.
Robertson's such a difficult cover. He's tremendously skilled, high IQ. He's a great passer. He doesn't wow you with his athleticism, but he is a great basketball player.
Nice pocket pass there on the miss by Huff. As Braden Huff has checked into the ball game. Gorosito still looking for his first three. Got a good look, and it's long. Oh, dinged it, had it lined up. Nemhard. These are two pretty speedy guards going at each other. Huff, a three.
Well, Huff may be the best natural shooter of any player on this Gonzaga roster. 6'10", redshirt freshman from the Chicago area. He scores in bunches. When he can learn to play defense a little bit more against the higher caliber teams, he will earn more minutes.
Juanse Gorosito, the Argentinian, with a bucket there. Portland just needs to get a few stops. Maybe a few more looks like that from three. Huff drives in a crowd. Stromer the miss. Those are two freshmen that are seeing a lot of time for Mark Few.
Stromer started the first part of the year before Ben Gray got the assignment the last 7 games. That's, I think, allowed the rotations to even out a little bit more.
Now Robertson hits a three, and now you can see where Portland gets their points as the threes are starting to drop.
Well, they space the floor. They're aggressive beyond the three-point arc, and they also provide a lot of freedom for Tyler Robertson to back down smaller guards.
Huff finds Watson. He was wide open, a catch and bucket. 7 points early for Anton Watson. Masic averages 13 a game. Robertson launches. Portland really doesn't have a true point guard. Both Masic and Gorosito are a couple of combo guards.
I had a chance to talk to Gorosito at shoot-around today. Gave us a little bit of Argentinian basketball history.
Well, you got to guard somebody, don't you? I mean, there's 6 threes now, and we inch closer to tacos. This is as early as the taco watch has started in a long time here. Danged it. Danged it, nicely done. Lays it up and in. I will say this, though. The women's team here at Gonzaga, terrific. They've been feeding the community a lot more than the men's team. 27-11. Dan Dickow, you got to love these threes, don't you?
Well, if you give them open looks, they will knock them down. Braden Huff steps into one there, and Nolan Hickman, second three of the night. Zags are rolling.
.27-11 start for Gonzaga. CBS Sports celebrates Black History Month, paying tribute to the triumphs, the influence on culture, and the legacy of achievement. And of course, the West Coast Conference, well represented. That's part of the Russell Rule they implemented a few years ago in honor of Bill Russell. Minority candidate must be in a pool of finalists for coaching candidate interviews. We check in with John Rothstein with Shante Leggins.
How do you slow down this offense?
Well, we got to get stops. We got to get back in transition. They're hitting some threes right now, but we're not contesting, so we got to be there for the contest. We got to get some easy contests, but they're getting some wide open looks early.
All right, thanks. Have a good rest of the half.
Huh?
Thanks. Have a good rest of the half.
Yeah, thank you. We need some.
All right, it's loud in here.
It is.
Rich.
It is loud in here, without question. It was, you know, Dan, you've seen hundreds of games in this arena. You had never played here, though, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you mentioned to me as Portland was out warming up, as Gonzaga was out warming up, there was a weird feeling in the building, weird mood in the building.
There was. I mean, I think a lot of that can be attributed to coming off that big loss against St. Mary's. The Kennel Club was not their normal self. Some of the antics that were unacceptable from the university happened towards the end of that game. But it's a 5 o'clock on the West Coast tip. Normal time is 6, and occasional 8 o'clock, so much earlier and late arriving crowd.
Well, so far, they seem to have shaken off the St. Mary's loss. Hickman hits a 7 threes, and we're 9 minutes into this game.
Six-made threes is a great sign. Gonzaga 13-1 on the season when they make 6 or more. The only loss against Purdue, who is a national title contender.
This is a mammoth lead early in this game.
Well, Portland's got to play defense with a little bit more fight. You can't just let Gonzaga get to the spots that they want.
Two wins in their last 2 games. Pepperdine at home, road win against Pacific. 3 conference wins total. And fouled on the baseline. Well, Shante Leggins told John that we've got to contest some of these threes.
Well, the first 5 threes for Gonzaga came off of ball movement. This ball screen action, Nolan Hickman, a tremendous job making the correct read. Defense gets hung up or goes under. That's an automatic shot for a good shooter in that pick and roll situation.
Robertson against Nemhard, whips it. Good rotation. Masic a 3.
Good block out underneath from Stromer.
Stromer and Huff, the freshman in there right now. Greg backing in, steps through, and it's in and out. Boy, Robertson is not afraid to stick his nose in anything. He's 6'6". He can play 1 through 5. The Australian started at Eastern Washington, where Shante Leggins was the head coach. This is his 3rd year as a Pilot. They love him there, and they should. High IQ, great passer, very physical. Masic, the 3 is off. Braden Huff. Robertson trying to defend him. Tough to do. And the rebound to Chris Austin.
And Portland's going to climb back in this. They've got to get stops.
Let's check in with John Rothstein. John?
Well, Rich, Gonzaga has already made 7 3-point shots in this game. That's a great sign for the Bulldogs. When Gonzaga makes 6 or more threes in a game this season, the record is 13-1, Rich.
Yeah, that has a tendency to to happen when you come out, especially when you hit this many threes and you're not even at the halfway point of the first half. Hickman almost knocked home another one. Masic hunting, driving, and can't get the right hand up and in. Bulldogs have had ample opportunity to push tempo. Greg thought about a transition three. And now fires. Good rebound by Yamanuchi Williams. Yuto. He can shoot the three, and he hits it. He is a really interesting player out of Japan via Lamar University.
Interesting. He was planning on redshirting. The Pilots dismissed a player right after their trip to Hawaii for the Diamond Head Classic. He decided to pull his red shirt, and it's been a big-time help. Averages over 10 points, 6 rebounds a game. Just starting to scratch the potential of what he can be for Shante Leggins.
Nemhard. And another rebound for Chris Austin. Scoring drought for Gonzaga. And last points coming right around the 11-minute mark. Masic the miss. Portland's not really lighting it up. They're still down by 16. There's your drought for the Bulldogs. It's approaching 4 minutes. Stromer feeds the post. Huff stepping through, and that's just too easy.
Too easy is right. He's one of those talented bigs that if you don't double, he can score in most one-on-one matchups. Left-hander, so he's got an obvious early advantage, but his touch is incredible for a young player.
Yamanuchi Williams, nice little gentle hook. Boy, with the ball in his hands, he looks good. He had 8 and 7 rebounds in the win over Pacific.
3 on the previous possession. Nice jump hook over the left shoulder there. Lots of skill to be able to work and improve upon there.
Stromer, 8 threes.
And that's a good sign for Gonzaga. Stromer has struggled shooting at 34% on the season. He's out of this LA area. High hopes for him. He's going to be a tremendous player in time.
Big lead for the Bulldogs.
Extra pass is a recipe for wins. Gonzaga doing just that. Dusty Stromer from the corner. Zags are rolling.
(35-16) Gonzaga on top. Gonzaga back in action Thursday here on CBS Sports Network. On the road, Loyola Marymount awaits. 9 Eastern the tip here on CBS Sports Network. So, how are the Gonzaga Bulldogs doing this year? Well, if you haven't been paying attention, here's a quick primer. Of course, the Bulldogs last year got to the Elite 8, lost to UConn. This year, hey, good in the preseason poll, ready to roll, right? Well, trouble closing games. San Diego State came in here and beat them by 10. But those tight losses, Santa Clara on the road. Last second bucket bit them there. 7-2, tied for second with San Francisco. But of course, St. Mary's is 10-0. Tournament resume, and look, you put the best stuff at the top on your resume, right, Dan Dickau? So you got to go down a little bit, and that 0-5 against quad 1 teams, that right now is what's dragging them down.
Yeah, it's frustrating for sure for a Gonzaga fan. Look, you played maybe the top 2 title contending teams in UConn and Purdue. They had a chance. They were up at half against Purdue, and then they missed 16 straight threes in that second half. They also lost at home to San Diego State, as mentioned. But that UW and Santa Clara ones are really starting to kind of falter in that Q2, Q3 category.
So, John Rothstein, how worried should Gonzaga fans be right now?
Well, I think, yeah.
All right, John, I'm having some problems with John. We will get a fix on that shortly. Gonzaga has lit it up, 8 3-point shots. And Stromer misses there. Luka Krajinovic in the ball game for Gonzaga. And he's one of the guys that they've missed, Krajinovic. along with Steel Venters, there's Krajinovic. They've missed him, but they've probably missed Venters the most. Venters was going to be their three-point shooter. 46% three-point shooter last year as the Big Sky MVP at Eastern Washington. He was dynamite in the scrimmage win over Baylor and then hurt his knees, out for the year. Austin with a strong move and finish. All right, let's try it again. John, how worried should Gonzaga fans be?
Well, I think you have to still be cautiously optimistic, Rich, that Gonzaga can turn this thing around. Remember, in 2016, Gonzaga was in a similar situation, had to win the WCC tournament to get to the NCAA tournament. The Bulldogs did that, wound up winning 2 games, almost beat Syracuse in the Sweet 16, and went to the Elite 8. So be cautiously optimistic, but there is no margin for error. Another thing, Rich, the game against San Francisco that Gonzaga has later in February will not be played on campus. It will be played at the Chase Center. That's going to be treated as a neutral court, not a true road game. Therefore, it's not a quad 1 opportunity as of today. It would be a quad 2. So that is something also that will inhibit Gonzaga's potential ability to stack quad 1 wins before Selection Sunday, Rich.
Well, obviously they're going to get one on Saturday against Kentucky. They finish the season at St. Mary's, so there's another. And depending on where San Francisco is, San Francisco right now is outside that neutral site window to qualify as quad 1. They're at 64 in the net rankings. But there's a lot of basketball left. Then you get to the tournament, Dan Dickow, and obviously you win the tournament and you're in the NCAA tournament.
Well, Coach Few's always broken things down as far as non-conference. We want to win a title, whether it's a Maui or a Atlantis tournament, and then they value regular season titles here maybe more than other places do because it shows the consistency throughout the season. Yes, it looks like at this moment in time the conference tournament title will be unbelievably important, but Coach Few definitely breaks it down to different sections of the season in competing for championships.
And the injury to Venters has put that man, Dusty Stromer, in a tight spot, and that is playing the 3 for Gonzaga. You know, Venters is a guy that can stretch the court, NBA range as far as threes. And how important is the 3 at Gonzaga? Well, the names like Kispert and Strother, those were key players. You extract them from those teams, and you kind of get an idea of what the Bulldogs are without Venters and that three-point threat.
Yeah, Venters was going to provide a lot of what, as you mentioned, Kispert and Strother was going to do. Deep three-point range. So all of a sudden, now your ball handler decision makers, Hickman, Nemhart, have more space to drive. EK has more space to go to work down low. A really big blow before the first regular season game of the year for Gonzaga.
Mark Few was talking just what John Rothstein was saying about, you know what, we've been in this spot before. Masic with a strong move and a right hand. Portland fell behind 16-1 to start this game under a torrent of three-point shots by Gonzaga. They've hit 8 threes so far.
Gonzaga's got to feel good about how they have spread the wealth. 10 assists in this first half. Against St. Mary's, only 5 for the game.
That's an offensive foul. Ike kind of winged Robertson.
Get another look at it here. Easy call from the official. Robertson standing his ground. A lot of times you're going to see that hook, but it's got to be on the hip, not above the shoulders.
Well, remember, Robertson at 6'6", 6'5"-ish. Austin trying to cut through. Stromer got a hand on it. Bulldogs keeping the beat. Early lead, and they're holding on to it. A 19-point lead in Spokane. (39-20) Gonzaga up here. AT&T at the half is coming up. Adam Zucker, Brock Vereen, Jason McCourty. Get you caught up, get you ready for Super Bowl 58 on CBS, streaming on Paramount+. Dan gives us some of his top teams and players in the West Coast Conference. First half style highlights and stats all coming up. AT&T at the half. John Rothstein is Rothstein Report. What you got, John?
Well, a lot of big storylines here, Rich. Obviously, back-to-back is the major question as UConn is seeking its first repeat national championship ever, and it's trying to be the first college team to go back-to-back since Billy Donovan did it in Florida in 06 and 07. Something boiling. Purdue is trying to exorcise the demon from last season, losing to FDU in the first round, trying to get to the Final Four for the first time since 1980. And there is palpable hope on Rocky Top that Dalton Connect can get Rick Barnes back to the Final Four and get Tennessee to its first Final Four in program history. And then how about the Mountain West? It's the Mountain Best this year. The Mountain West is in position to get 5 teams in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013. And Rich, it could be 6. Right now, 6 Mountain West teams ranked in the top 46 of the net. But guys, this is only February.
That's true. And you and I, John, saw Dalton Connect earlier this year. Dan, you and I get to see UConn next week. We've seen a lot of the Mountain West so far this year. It seems like all the good teams beat the other good teams, and it's especially tough to win on the road in that conference.
Yeah, there's some great venues in the Mountain West, difficult places to play. We spoke with Brian Dutcher, San Diego State's head coach, is Braden Huff. He gets the nice jump hook to drop it. He said this is a year in the Mountain West where you're going to have a couple losses. You can't let it affect your approach and your preparation. You just got to get ready for the next one.
Now Portland trying to get a little bit of bounce in their step. Coleman Lemke comes in, and Lemke knocks one in.
Lemke, an interesting player, walk-on from Las Vegas. He's earned some minutes as of late. Really provided them energy off the bench. You can see the shooting ability from deep if you don't close out.
He had a great second half defensively in the win over Pepperdine and hit a big 3 in that game as well. And he hits a 3 here. Watson's back in, it's rolling hook, and it's good.
The patience of a fifth-year senior on display there. Anton Watson entices the double team, it never fully commits, and then the jump hook to the middle.
Bol danged it, misses a 3. Watson hits a 3. 9. Has there ever been in Gonzaga history a first half taco festival? 10 threes, and it's tacos for everybody. They've hit 9 already.
Thought Watson was going to make it 10 there. Had a good look straight away.
Here's your chance. Oh! Minute and a half left. First half. 46-23, Gonzaga on top. Kranovich missing that 3. Masic off the screen, driving, and lost the ball. It's a turnover. Anton Watson, ultimate glue guy when he started his career, has evolved into such a complete player.
He just knows how to win. It goes back to his high school days at Gonzaga Prep, where he won back-to-back state titles under Matty McIntyre. But whatever Gonzaga has needed him to do over the course of his career, he's done it. He's had multiple 30-point games this year, including the win against UCLA. It's great to see a player finally really get the chance and make the most of it, such as he has this year.
That one goes down, halfway down, and follow is good by Braden Huff, who's got 9 points.
That's what he is. He is instant offense.
Masic with just 2 points in this first half. Dinged it. That's a really tough shot. Yeah, shot clock, game clock are just about identical, about a 1.5 difference.
Portland's got a couple fouls to give if they want to use it. So if you're Gonzaga, make sure you go plenty early.
Nembhard takes a peek at Mark Few. And away they go. Huff in tight. And the Bulldogs hang 50 on Portland in the first half with 9 threes. And big moments from Braden Huff, the redshirt freshman. And so everybody in the kennel got to be pleased with this. Let's go to John Rothstein. John?
Have you guys played a better half this season?
We were pretty good against LMU last week. Obviously, early in the season, I thought we had some good ones, but we needed that coming off of Saturday.
What changes when Braden Huff produces for this team? You're 10-1 this season when he hits double figures.
It's just another guy to score and obviously make threes. We've had some trouble with some scoring droughts, and he can get buckets in bunches. And obviously, our three-point shooting's had some inconsistencies, and when he makes them, it's another guy.
Thanks, Brian. Have a good second half.
Thanks, Sean.
Rich.
Brian Michelson, assistant coach. Thank you, John Rothstein. So, some questions answered. Yeah, Gonzaga can shoot the three, and they did it quite well. That's it for the first half. Stick around. AT&T at the half's coming up. You're watching college basketball on CBS. 23 lead over Portland. Dan Dickau grew up in the Portland area. He went to Washington first, transferred to Gonzaga, and in 2 years, man, was that show fun. He had the floppy hair and the floppy shorts, and this dude could absolutely ball. He could distribute the basketball, and he could shoot it. He got a green light from Mark Few, and boy, did he use it. Where did he end up? Well, school record for assists, first team All-American, and in the NBA, the 28th overall pick in the NBA draft. And he still has the great hair. And it tickles me to no end that when he returned here to live with his family, he invested in a string of barbershops. Well done.
Yeah, you know, kind of one of those plays on your career, I guess you could say. So it worked out for a while in that industry.
Yeah, it sure did. And now, here you are, and you watch the first half. And this is where he earns his money now. Man, 9 threes. Gonzaga coming out looking like you and Blake Stepp back in the day.
Oh, the name Blake Stepp brings a lot of positive memories. My backcourt mate could shoot it as well as anybody in this program. But that's been one of the Achilles heels of this Gonzaga team this season, is shooting it from beyond the arc. They showed no signs of struggling in that category. 9 made threes in that first half. Terrific sign if you're a Gonzaga fan. For Portland, you got to run them off the line, make them put the ball on the deck, and create something else.
Now, you and I get to go across the country and see a lot of teams. We get to see UConn next week. So let's talk about some of the things that you've seen in a nation of college basketball, your top teams.
Well, I really like the balance of this UConn Husky team. Yes, they lost a lot from a season ago, but Danny Hurley is doing an amazing job coaching that roster. Purdue, they also played Gonzaga earlier this year. Zach Edey is a monster in the middle. And Kansas, I mean, Bill Self just wins in the Big 12. That's all he does. The addition of Hunter Dickinson definitely fortified them going into this season. I like them a lot as well.
Another team in the AP top 10 that you think could be, and John Rothstein talked about Tennessee certainly. Who else catches your eye in that group?
Well, Houston, because of the way they guard and the way they defend. But I like Tennessee as well as John Rothstein, because the Dalton Connect effect. He was an unknown, went to junior college for a year, was at Northern Colorado in the Big Sky, and he has showed if you can play and score, there's a place for you at any level in basketball. He's been great this year.
Now we shift him to the West Coast Conference. Top players of the WCC.
Well, I think Aiden Mahaney has definitely cemented himself as a premier guard, not just in this league, but on the West Coast. He's been terrific as of late, had 20 against Gonzaga. Jonathan Mobo leads the country in field goal percentage. He's got over 12 double-doubles on the season. And Anton Watson, what he has done for Mark Few and Gonzaga this year has just been unbelievably solid and consistent.
And now, if I had edited that, I would put a little Augustus Marshallonis in there, because I think he's been terrific for St. Mary's. But on to the top teams in the conference. St. Mary's sitting at 18 in the net. Gonzaga at 28 in the net. The league and Gonzaga and St. Mary's could sure use San Francisco to keep improving their net numbers. All right. Halftime about to end, 50-23. Tacos, I think, are in the future for this crowd in Spokane. No hangover from the loss to St. Mary's. That's apparent for Gonzaga. They put 50 on the board in the first half. Dan Dickau now with the AT&T fast analysis. Three-point shooters and a lot of different guys.
Well, Gonzaga has spread the wealth outside that three-point arc. 6 different Zags have knocked down a triple, led by Nolan Hickman going 3 of 4. And if you're a Zag fan, what you've got to like is the spacing, the decisiveness that they've had with their passing, their extra passes, and then the willingness to step in and shoot it with confidence, which at times hasn't been there this season.
And of course, Portland gets points from threes more than any team in the country. They are 4 of 17. Gonzaga winning the rebounding battle as well. This is a quad one night for us because we're working with John Rothstein. Let's go back down to the floor with John.
Well, Rich, I just talked to Shante Leggins, and he told me at halftime, he told his team, we have to have some grit, we have to have some fight, and we need to chip away at this deficit. He said if we're going to get back in this game, it's not going to happen right away. It needs to be 3, 4, 5 points at a time, Rich.
All right, we'll look for that. Leggins, when he took this program over, in 5 years, coming into his first season, they were 8 and 72 in conference games. 8 and 72 in the 5 previous years to Leggins stepping on the campus. Now he's gone 13 and 25. You might say, well, that's well under 500. But that's a heck of a lot better than 8 and 72. He's got this program moving in the right direction. Great recruiting class next year. Masic driving. And that's a good way to start chipping away.
Yeah, they are definitely heading in the right direction. And I think expectations got out a little ahead of them in year one. They won 19 games. The following season, they were in the PK 85 in Portland. They barely lost to North Carolina, knocked off Villanova, and then a 1-point loss to Michigan State last year kind of set the bar really high before injuries kind of beset their season a year ago.
I like the fact that they didn't hunt a three and that Masic went right to the bucket.
He's a 3-level scorer. There are times he kind of gets married to that 3-point shot, but he's an aggressive driver with strength to be able to finish through contact.
Watson's wide open, and that's a mid-range jumper.
Baseline out of bounds. You've got to be prepared, anticipating screens and cuts. Inexcusable to allow a 15-foot open shot on the baseline.
16 for Watson. Gorosito, who's really been good the last 3 games. He's averaging 20 a game in the last 3. And has just the 3 in this one. Robertson is fouled by Nembhard.
We're getting another look at that baseline out of bounds. You see EK is about to go set a screen for Anton Watson, who will come off, but the 2 defenders for Portland have to understand what their role is. Are you guarding a screener, and if so, are you out hedging the screen? If you're guarding the player coming off the screen, are you switching or are you getting through? None of that happened for Portland, resulting in a wide open jumper for Watson.
Masic. EK has the rebound. If you're just joining us, Portland defensively, the outset was daring Gonzaga to shoot threes. They did not want EK or Greg or Watson hurting them in the low blocks. And so Gonzaga went ahead and took the threes and hit them, and hit a lot of them early, and built a 16-1 lead to start the game. And Portland's been behind by a bunch since.
And Portland, 4 team fouls in that first half. And not a lot of free throws either way. 3 for Gonzaga, 2 for Portland in that first half.
Hickman, he's hit 4 threes.
Hunting a career high, 24 2 games ago in LMU. Well on his way to equaling that, but if you're going to double team Anton Watson, your secondary defender has to be ready to rotate to an open shooter like Hickman.
A little more enthusiasm with that 3 going down as the free tacos were just announced to the crowd here at the Kennel. And by the way, the Kennel's been on their very best behavior tonight. I know that wasn't so at the end of the St. Mary's game, but tonight has been stellar.
They have another look at the double down by Gorosito. Masic has to make a decision. Am I rotating to the shooter Hickman, or I'm staying home? He chose to stay home, giving Hickman the open 3.
Now Portland trying to figure out where they're going to get points here in this second half. Gorosito Nembhard has had him most of the night. Dengdet hits a three. Bol Dengdet, the Australian NBA Academy in Australia. Greg off on that three. Gorosito, just a sophomore. Masic, a sophomore as well. Robertson is fouled.
Portland can get hot from beyond the three-point arc, and it's not just limited to their perimeter players. Dengdet, the 6 starts now on the season, really starting to grow in his confidence. West Coast Conference reigning freshman of the week knocks that one down.
And remember, they're without Tyler Harris tonight. Harris, who's been a 3-time freshman of the week in the conference this year. And he is out with a lingering ankle injury. There's your three-point shooting. The attempts, the makes, and if you go A to B to C, C is nobody in the country depends on three-point shooting for scoring more than Portland. 45% of their points come from threes.
And that's why, to me, at times it's a little odd that Shante Leggins has chose to allow Gonzaga space to shoot a lot of threes. On the season, their opponents make almost 12 per game at nearly 40% from beyond the arc in WCC play. Gonzaga's got capable shooters, but I also can see where he watches film and really thinks they're not going to get it going against us because Gonzaga's been very inconsistent in that category throughout the year.
Is that because they don't have a low post defender or a guy that can muscle a guy like Ike or even Watson or even Greg? Greg to Watson. Little reverse. The Bulldogs rip off another bucket. 27-point lead.
No, in regards to, why do they allow threes? I mean, they don't necessarily have a shot blocker, but they really kind of try to pack the paint defensively and dare you to shoot it over the top.
Gorosito with the three. We check in with John Rothstein. John?
Well, guys, Anton Watson with that layup has 18 points on the night. Rich, get this. He's got 4 games this season with 20 or more points. That only happened twice during the first 4 years of his career, Rich. He has really emerged as a scorer.
John, he had some pretty good guys in front of him, right? I mean, Drew Timme would be one. And sometimes, John, we see guys who are, and he was the ultimate glue guy, that as his career goes on, he has to learn and teach himself to be a little more selfish and take shots. I think we're seeing that this year.
No question, Rich. I don't want to graduate him from glue guy status just yet because he's an all-time glue guy. And if you look at this team, Rich, he has moved over and is playing the three, doing a great job defensively tonight as well on Robertson, who has 5 points, talking to the Gonzaga staff before the game. That was the key to the game plan. In a lot of ways, he's what Rich Weltzes does at CBS, Dicko.
Well, I don't know. That's high cotton. I don't think I belong in that company. 57-33. Gonzaga on top of Portland. Let's take a timeout. They're fiddling with the clock, we're told. That's an official term, I believe. Anton Watson. Beautiful. (57-33). Gonzaga on top. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern. We're in the CAA. It's now the Coastal. Charleston hosts North Carolina A&T right here on CBS Sports Network. Who's in the Coastal, you say? Yeah, familiar faces. Drexel's having a really good year. Towson's good. Charleston's always pretty good at 7-3. Nolan Hickman played a lot of point guard last year. Now he's off that ball, and man, it's paying off.
Yeah, he's gotten off to a terrific start tonight. 3 made threes in that first half. He's been opportunistic, hunting open space, making good ball screen reads when the defense makes a mistake. He's ready to deliver from beyond the arc. The junior from Seattle playing well tonight, but definitely wants to play well Saturday in the matchup head-to-head against Kentucky, where he initially signed with before deciding to come back closer to home.
Officials are still looking at the clock. They lost some time It was at 16:04. It's been reset to 16:07. Not that this is consequential, but you don't want to. Yeah, about 10 seconds probably. So 15:57 is what they decide on. Yeah, look, there were two concerns coming in, and John Rothstein laid it out nicely in our open, the top of the telecast. Number one, the sting of the loss to St. Mary's. Number two, the anticipation and the urgency of the Kentucky game on Saturday. And Mark Few even said it today in shoot around. Hey, look, you know, we haven't talked about Kentucky. All we're thinking about is Portland, but it's the second half. They're up 57-33, so we can talk about Kentucky.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about Kentucky, but, you know, as a player, you always look to the schedule, and there's a few games that you always circle as being games you're excited for. I can only imagine Kentucky is one of them. But that Kentucky game would lose a lot of its luster if they didn't come out and perform the way they have tonight. So a tremendous approach for Gonzaga.
Gorosito, the miss. Watson goes down. And of course, as John Rothstein said, that Kentucky game is a quad one opportunity, and the Bulldogs need as many of those as they can stumble upon. There's your series history. They met here in Spokane last year. Gonzaga won that game 88-72. John Rothstein, that game's on CBS as well.
Yeah, that's appointment TV for all of us, Rich. But the interesting thing to me is Gonzaga has played so well offensively tonight, and that has been a recurring theme for Kentucky's opponents over the last couple of games at Rupp Arena. Kentucky's last three opponents in Lexington are combining to average over 97 points per game. For the Wildcats, that means they could have a high ceiling, but their defense has to get better, Rich. That's a big storyline to look into coming into Saturday's game on CBS.
We will watch that certainly. Bulldogs up 57-36 now.
John had some good points in that. Kentucky wants to play fast. And Gonzaga struggled playing in the slow tempo of St. Mary's on Saturday. They're much more at home in that up and down track meet. They've led the country in scoring for the last 5 years. That should be a game in the upper 80s or 90s.
All right, so what is some may be watching and say, well, what is a quad one team? A quad one team is if you beat them on their court, or no, your court, it's 1 to 25, correct?
I believe 1 through 30.
1 through 30, and then 1 through 50, and then 1 through 75. And that goes neutral to 1 to 50, and then road gets you up to 75. And just like that, Portland has cut it 57-39.
Back-to-back threes. Gorosito then dinged it. And again, the way they shoot it from three, they can climb back in and make this interesting in a hurry.
Dusty Stromer with the bucket. So since Kentucky is at home, if they're 1 through 75 on the net, that becomes a quad one opportunity, as it will be for Gonzaga.
If you like threes, this has been a fun game for you. Dinged it, a little pick and pop action for the Pilots. Huff senses the double team coming. Nemhart, the great extra pass, finding Stromer in the wing.
Stromer again. Or excuse me, that was Huff with the three, the lefty. A few more whistles in this half, and Huff's going to get to the line. Oh no, not on the shot, on the scramble underneath. 13:44 left in this ball game. Gonzaga's biggest lead has been 30. Nemhard launches, missed it. Remember, John Rothstein reported, Shante Leggins said we just need to chip away. They gave up a few points early, fell back down by 30, but they are chipping away now. Robertson, that's a walk. He tried, I mean, look, he tried to improvise. Not a shot, but a real, like an Australian dribble.
He tried to keep that pivot foot down, that's for sure, but, you know, he's got to be frustrated. He has followed Shante Leggins from Eastern Washington here just outside Spokane to Portland. he gives it everything he's got every night, putting together a terrific career. It just hasn't resulted in wins. He could have easily gone back home and played professionally in Australia, but wanted one more year.
Good hustle by Huff to save it off of Robertson. Yeah, Robertson, he's had some nice games at 24 in the win over Pepperdine, at 34 on the road at Santa Clara. Nembhard finds Huff, who finds Watson. 20 for Watson. Here's something that Mark Few has to really like. For the Bulldogs tonight, 24 buckets, 16 assists.
Yeah, that coming after only 5 against St. Mary's.
Masic, that's a 3. So Portland starting to heat up. Masic has got 7.
One thing about Portland is they are not going to change their approach. They're going to keep firing away from beyond the arc. You just got to limit their good looks.
They've thrown up 26 threes. They've hit 9 of them. Gonzaga is 11 of 24. Huff. Watson. Gorosito, that's a mismatch size-wise. Danged it, driving hard. That's a nice move for a guy who scored 9 points in his first 10 games. But coming on, he had a dozen in the win over Pepperdine. He had a double-double against Pacific. That drops.
Well, that's the great equalizer that Braden Huff has. Gets beat on the dribble by Deng Dick on one side, but because he can shoot it and stretch the floor beyond the three-point line, he makes you so dangerous.
That's a heck of a move by Gorosito, who sealed the defender with his body and hit a fall-away. It's really fun to watch him.
He plays aggressive, he's hard-nosed. Really is married to the three-point line a lot of times, but he's starting to diversify his game, which I think will impact his ability to find more open looks.
Huff, 17, 13 threes for Gonzaga. Masic off a double screen, cut off there. Shot clock's down. Gorosito with 4 to shoot. Got to get it up. Does. Man, this guy can play. Juanse Gorosito. He's got 13. He had just 3 in the first half.
A little shoulder bump to create a little bit of space away from Nembhard. Terrific shot from Gorosito.
Huff spinning.
Such
scoring
soft,
at will.
Such soft touch for Huff. 19 points now in 18 minutes.
Stromer off the Gorosito miss. And of course, Huff, the freshman, banging against Robertson. Soft little hook. This is a clinic. What a sequence. I mean, just take those 4 minutes of Braden Huff scoring from everywhere.
Well, Huff making plays for others. Watson, the recipient of the pass and the finish, but guess what? He wants to get in on the party too. He's gotten hot. None more spectacular than this 3.
Uber Eats keys to the game. 72-48, Gonzaga on top. Daniel?
Portland Pilots, they needed a rebound. They have not been great in that category, although only allowed 5 offensive rebounds for Gonzaga. Take care of the ball. They've been great in that category for Gonzaga. Well, the top one must make threes. They've done that in bunches, which the coaching staff has got to be grateful to see and push the play. 4 fast break points, but that hasn't been a big storyline simply because they've shot the ball so well and they've relied upon redshirt freshman from Chicago, Braden Huff, to provide an enormous spark off the bench. 21 points in 18 minutes, 9 of 14 from the field. He's got their last 10 points. He makes scoring look easy.
And, you know, look, because of the injury to Steele Venters and others, Dusty Stromer and Braden Huff have been playing more minutes than most freshmen normally play here at Gonzaga.
Yeah, very rarely, you know, for one of the elite teams in college basketball are you going to have a freshman playing major minutes. Now it happens, but it's going to be for your one-and-done type players. You have success at college level with experience these days.
Yeah, every now and then a Chet Holmgren is going to come in, get you some good freshman minutes. 72-48 Gonzaga. (72-48) Gonzaga on top of the Portland Pilots. John Rothstein with the Rothstein Report. John?
All right, Rich. Well, obviously, when we break down the WCC, all eyes are on Moraga. St. Mary's has been a different team over the last month and a half, winners of 11 straight. The third wheel, it's St. Mary's, it's Gonzaga. It's also San Francisco. Chris Gerlofson doing a great job. The Dons emerged as the WCC's third best team. We got a wide open WCC tournament. And then the streak, that's the million-dollar question. Will Gonzaga miss the NCAA tournament for the first time since '98? And speaking in '98, this is what happened 26 years ago. Armageddon and Deep Impact were released in theaters. Stone Cold Steve Austin won his first WWE title over Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14. Jeff Van Gundy was the Knicks coach, and the Goo Goo Dolls and Lauryn Hill were ranked in the top 10 in pop songs. Rich, that's a long time ago.
Hey, there'll be no Jeff Van Gundy slander on my watch. Gorosito off a screen. John Rothstein, man of the people today at our hotel, ordering a smoothie on the app on his phone in Spokane, Washington. Outstanding work by him.
You guys get to stay at the Great Davenport Hotel, one of the best in the country.
Vucinic.
Well, just to be clarified, I didn't get the smoothie.
Oh.
So I'm pretty famished right now, but I'm fighting through till postgame.
I have just impressed, John, that a smoothie is part of your pregame prep.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of pregame prep. You know, what was the Sun Tzu quote? Every battle is won before it's ever lost.
That's
before
right.
it's ever fought.
Well, John, I know you go to a number of college basketball venues across the country. You've got to check out Jack and Dan's across the street, one of the best sports bars in all of America.
Noted. I appreciate that, Dan. Dan Dickow with the assist. We've heard that before, Rich.
Yes, although he usually takes a shot right after that. You can do that at Jack and Dan's as well. Of course, the father of John Stockton, the proprietor for such a long time at Jack and Dan's. Would you encounter John Stockton down there these days? Does John go down there on occasion? That's Nembhard with a three.
I'm sure he's been there recently. Adam Morris and I host a weekly Gonzaga show podcast, and we had John Stockton on as a guest earlier this week.
What's the one thing he told you that surprised you?
You know, he loves this Gonzaga program as much as anybody, but he's excited to see the grit that this team needs to show down the stretch to continue the streak of NCAA tournament appearances. He feels it's there. He's looking forward to watch it come back.
I thought it was going to be the fact that he owns a flip phone. There's Huff with a left-hand layup for a bucket. And Gonzaga's lead is back over 30. It's 81-50. Gorosito throws it away. Kranovich, step through. That's as Euro as you get.
That is a big bucket for Kranovich. I know it doesn't seem like much, but he's searching for ways to get into the rotation. A player who doesn't have to search how to get in the rotation is Ryan Nembhard. Gets by the defender. The nice soft touch to his buddy Braden Huff. Gonzaga up big.
83-50, Gonzaga on top. Obviously, all eyes pointed towards the Super Bowl in Las Vegas all week long. We're there. Get you ready for the big day. Super Bowl live here on CBS Sports Network. Okay, so everybody was asked for their predictions. Shante Lagan's going with Kansas City. Mahomes, that's almost exactly what Mark Few dropped on us. He's got Mahomes as the MVP as well. All right, announcer crew. You know, I was unable to get my true MVP, which will be Christopher Walken, for his Talking Like Walken commercial. I think it's the BMW commercial. So I threw Deebo Samuel in there. Dan Dickow, you like Christian McCaffrey. John Rothstein likes Patrick Mahomes. San Francisco for you, San Francisco for me. Kansas City for John Rothstein. Mark Few, 25th season. One of the most impressive coaching numbers around is his record in NCAA tournament games, 41 and 22. Of course, 2 championship game appearances. Strong rebound and a foul. And so Yuto Yamanuchi-Williams has a shot at a 3-point play. He really had some bright moments in the first half.
Portland ran a terrific set out of that timeout for Vasily Vucinic. Just wasn't quite able to finish over Graham Ike's defense. Williams' activity on the glass provides him an extra opportunity at the line.
So we're under 7 minutes. This has been Gonzaga's game since they opened, hitting 4 threes and streaking to a 16-1 lead. Ike backing in, falling away. That's nice.
Ike, the lefty, with a rare right-handed jump hook.
Good rotation. Robertson, long 3. Won't go. Williams, the rebound. Knocked to the floor. Gregg driving. Gregg. It's a block. He'll get to the free throw line. NCAA tournament rounds lost under Mark Few. Round of 64 early in this tenure. It was a little tough to get through, but man, once they broke through, the gates just opened. As I mentioned, 41 and 22 in NCAA tournament games. They clinched a bid in 2020, did not get to the tournament because no one got to the tournament. Gregg at the line gets another free throw. That's the argument oftentimes people make. You know, Gonzaga, if they played in the Big Ten or if they played in the Big East, they wouldn't have that type of success. I mean, who do you think they're playing in the NCAA tournament?
They're playing really good teams once you get past that initial first round or second round. And here's the thing that I always tell people. Unless you have won a national title in the last 25 years, you would trade your resume for Gonzaga's any day of the week. Yes, they haven't quite broken through and won a national title, but it is so unbelievably difficult to do, and be in position twice to do that out of the WCC shows that it can be done out of this league.
You know, next year the league changes, at least for 2 years. Oregon State and Washington State join the West Coast Conference. Washington State is a fun team to watch. They are gritty, gutty. You're really pulling for them right now. And so both of these schools will have a close rival all of a sudden in their conference. Gonzaga will have Washington State. That's Kranovich for a 3. That's 15 threes for the Bulldogs. And then Oregon State and Portland, you would expect, will, for the 2 years at least from the start, be a nice matchup for fans in the state of Oregon.
The 7th Bulldog getting in on the action beyond the 3-point line. Kranovich knocks down his first of the evening. You know, to stay on the topic of conference realignment, Rich, that you brought up, yeah, with Oregon State and Washington State for a couple of years at least in the league, it'll be interesting to see how the league creates the schedule. If they're true travel partners, Oregon State and Portland, Washington State and Gonzaga. But to your point against Washington State, Kyle Smith in his 5th year is doing a tremendous job down in Pullman.
He may be I mean, look, he's among the best coaches in the Pac-12. And I think a lot of people outside of the Pac-12 are really rooting for Washington State to stick it to the rest of the teams that are exiting and get to the NCAA tournament.
He probably doesn't get his due credit, and a lot of that, unfortunately, is because you're at Washington State. But, you know, Kyle Smith knows the WCC as well as anybody. He was an assistant at St. Mary's, and then he was the head coach at San Francisco.
Williams with a steal in the bucket. That's a good point. He knows that conference quite well. And that, you know, that will be a nice boost to the West Coast Conference in terms of strength of conference, which, you know, there's a huge divide between the top and the bottom of this conference. And hopefully with the addition of those two schools, it irons that out. He just keeps scoring, does Braden Huff. He's one shy of a career high. He's got 25.
It's like running water. It's hard to turn off once you get it going. Braden Huff has got it going tonight.
Mosic, that's a dynamite move, and a foul at the rim, and a shot at a three-point play. Mosic has got skills. There's pieces here in Portland, and a really good recruiting class coming.
Well, when you think about it, Mosic, only a sophomore from Serbia. He's got great size, 6'5", 210. He's a three-level scorer. He's a great piece for Shante Leggins to grow with.
And one thing that Leggins told us today when we were talking to him about the big picture of his program, he said, yeah, we've got some really good young players. We haven't seen Harris. He's out. Gorosito, Mosic. He said, now, in this day and age, we have to keep them.
Yes.
So the administration and the athletic department is starting to get very aggressive about NIL, and that's a, you know, that's a key in keeping young talent as you try to build a program.
It is. Continuity in college sports is something that you strive for, and it's harder than ever to have it.
Well, look, for the Pilots, they've been to one NCAA tournament since 1960. I mean, like, that's one tournament in, what, 63 years? The last time they went was 96. Rob Chavez, who recruited you, Dan Dickel,
yes,
was the head coach at Portland.
I grew up in the area. It was a tough decision not to go there because I grew up 15 minutes from University of Portland, played a lot of open gym, pickup basketball there. I remember that 96 run. They lost to Villanova and Kerry Kittles in that first round. Used to go to Jacobina and Larry Steele basketball camps as a kid growing up.
Did you get some run against, was it Jose Slaughter?
He was a little before my time, but he was a good player.
All right. Well, you know.
I mean, I think that's that was the Rick Ravio era.
How about Pooh Jeter?
When I was still playing in the NBA, and myself and a lot of other guys would go to University of Portland for open gyms, Pooh Jeter was a college player. Last Portland Pilot to really make it in the NBA. He's now an assistant coach in the G League with the Blazers affiliate. Great guy, great player.
I should also drop a Bill Kruger on him. The former Major League pitcher was a fine basketball player at Portland, now an announcer for the Seattle Mariners. Long three there as Jun Sukyo misses a three. He gets some run here. A little over 3 minutes left in this ball game. It's flying right now. Not only the threes, but also the clock. Robertson kicks. Lemke missed the three. Williams got a hand on it.
This is one of the fastest games I've called all year long. I mean, from start to finish, we're looking at about an hour and 45 minutes is all. Very few timeouts.
Pavle Stosic missing that shot. Now, if you had said that in the first half, you'd be fined by the entire crew. But I think it's safe to drop that when we're under 3 minutes. Yeah. Dengdit has had some good moments tonight. Gonzaga's at 15 threes in this game. Stromer stripped of the ball. And it stays with Gonzaga, 2:20 left. Stay with us, 92-60. (16-1) start by Gonzaga and a 92-60 score right now. Performance of the game is fueled by Gatorades. And Anton Watson does a lot of things for the Bulldogs, and a lot of them very well.
Could have gone in a few different directions, but Anton Watson throughout the night showed his versatility, his ability to impact the game in multiple ways. 20 points, 4 assists, 9 of 11 from the field, including 2 of 3 from beyond the arc.
Honorable mention, second star of the game, Braden Huff, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 21 assists on 36 buckets. That's a good sign. I know that Portland's defense is certainly not the caliber of St. Mary's, but just 5 assists in that loss to St. Mary's on Saturday. Stromer, tip, Panovich. As we've hit the 2-minute mark. And of course, on CBS on Saturday, Gonzaga at Kentucky. On CBS, the Loyola Marymount game is on as well on February 15th. Pacific, Portland, you got to take care of business with those 3 games. Then you got Santa Clara, San Francisco on the 29th. That's why there's a versus and not an at. It's a neutral site game. In the Chase Center, you and I called a game earlier.
We had San Francisco hosting Minnesota earlier this year. Gonzaga's been in that building before. A couple of years ago, lost to Arkansas in the Sweet 16. Should be a terrific environment. The Sobrato Center on San Francisco's campus. Great gym, but only seats about 3,500. It'll be a chance for them to draw a big crowd against Gonzaga.
And a hornet's nest. Stosic misses the 3. Gorosito. Rebound there by Colby Brooks. This is Brooks. And he misses the 3. Fans trying to get Brooks some points here. Redshirt junior out of Los Angeles. I think Portland's going to win some more games in the West Coast Conference.
Well, coming into tonight, they'd won their last 2. Granted against Pepperdine and Pacific, but they showed signs of being more versatile on the offensive end of the floor. Defensively and on the glass, they were much more competitive.
Well, that's a nice effort there from Vucinic.
Portland's just got to get healthy. Their star freshman Tyler Harris now has missed 5 of the last 7 games. Vucinic, a nice job being active on the offensive glass. Chance of the 3-point play, but if you're Shante Legans, again, we've touched on it throughout the broadcast, he's got some nice young pieces. It's a matter of keeping them together, build that cohesiveness, that chemistry, improve year over year, and climb up the WCC ranks.
Keep the young talent, welcome in a really, really good recruiting class. Sukio, the follow away. He's got some skills. And hi to all of our friends in Korea. Those of you watching. Lemke misses the 3, and Gonzaga will hold the ball. And the Bulldogs, no hangover from that loss. And there were questions of how they would react to losing to their rivals, St. Mary's here. The 2-point loss. Well, they have passed that test, and now it's on to Kentucky on CBS on Saturday for a much anticipated game, and quite honestly, a much needed win for Mark Few and the Bulldogs to try to rebuild a tournament resume.
Oh, mature approach from a group that knows what's at stake, and what's at stake is a chance to not lose any ground in the late race for a league title, but also continue to get better, which is what they need to do because they've got a huge opportunity in front of them on Saturday.
Updating the West Coast Conference standings. Gonzaga now 8-2, but St. Mary's on top 10-0 with a win over Gonzaga. San Francisco at 7-2. Portland still at 3-7. We will be back. John Rothstein will have Mark Few and a few others. When we